I am here with the iconic teaching coach Rick Macci. Now, Rick has had 5 number 1 players in the world, 2 number 2 players in the world. He has 8 Olympic gold medals that have been won by his students, 12 ranked top 10 in the world, 52 Grand Slam champions in singles titles, 86 Grand Slam singles and mixed doubles champions, 346 USTA National Junior titles since 1985, and his juniors have won all 4 Junior Grand Slam titles. He is 7 times Coach of the Year, youngest coach ever to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. He is sought after by Fortune 500 companies as an inspirational, motivational speaker, and has award-winning instructional videos under his belt which get millions of views on YouTube. Also, he was immortalized in the movie King Richard, starring Will Smith. Now, John Bernthal played Rick Macci, and I think he did a pretty good job of it as well. So we could go on and on. Let's get rolling. Welcome, Rick Macci.
Good to be here, and I guess I've been around the block with that intro, but it's all good and it's only getting better.
Now, your resume is unmatched, your work ethic unsurpassed. You've been so consistent and rock solid for so long, like nobody else in the business who's ever taught tennis. Looking back now, how does that make you feel?
Well, first off, great question, because I've been asked to reflect a lot. Especially I've done so many podcasts and interviews, and people, want to know about how it all started and stuff like that. I think being consistent and the love that I have for the game, and as a coach, role model, teacher, father figure, wanting to help others, more than myself, is the most thing I'm proud of, because I've kept those values ever since I started at age 22. And I love it just as much today. So, but looking back, I've done a lot, but I never look back. I just try to keep building and try to get better, because you're not getting better, you're getting worse. I prefer better. But no, I've done a lot, but I don't really pat myself on the back. I'm just one of the guys from Greenville, Ohio. Still got that genuineness and down to earth. And I just like helping anybody, anytime, anywhere.
Okay, let's talk about the Williams family. The movie King Richard and your instincts to roll the dice and take a chance with these 2 girls from Compton. It's well documented, it's very storied, but you changed history. You changed tennis history. Tell us about that.
Yeah, at the time I was just going out there to take a look, and it was just like yesterday. And at first, I didn't see anything. I had Jennifer Capriati prior to that, youngest ever at 12 years old to win the 18 and under national hard courts and clay courts. So my blueprint for greatness was like nobody in the world. So now I'm out there in Compton, and I'm seeing 9 and 10-year-old Venus and Serena with arms and legs and hair and beads flying everywhere. I'm going, what in God's name am I doing in Compton, California? I didn't see it. And I think it's a great lesson for any parent, coach, or Rick Macci. You don't judge a book by the cover. The cover could be amazing, the book bad. The cover amazing, the book bad. So I didn't see it at first, okay? But then after about an hour, when we started playing competitive points, okay, I saw something, I saw a rage I never saw even to this day. I never saw 2 little girls try so hard to get the ball. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be great, but I think in the game of life, that's going to help you, because when I said game on, I saw a whole different picture. They were running fast, popping the popcorn, extra butter. Everything got better, and right then and there, and this was in the movie, I told Richard, let me tell you, it's more about Venus, because she was more mature. I said, you got the next female Michael Jordan on your hands. And he puts his arm around me. He goes, no, brother, man, I got the next 2. And 4 months passed. They visited Greenleaf, where I was at the time. We ended up doing the deal. And you're right. I changed history, but believe me, this was a mystery. I'm probably the only guy in the world who thinks Compton, California was the best vacation they ever took. But, looking back, it's but I was so into it. I didn't look at it any other way. But now as you get older and you reflect, and just what VW and Serena have accomplished and being such a big part of it, especially since I had to fund the project. I moved the whole family from California, a lot of financial involvement. It's one thing to say, I think you're good. It's another thing to put up your cheddar to make you better, So that's a whole different belief that you got to have in someone. And those 4 years from 1991 to 95, even putting up with Richard, kind of stubborn. I should be in the Hall of Fame putting up with that guy. But no, he's like my best friend even to this day. And VW and Serena are like my own daughters. Best decision I ever made. Not because of what they became. It's just that I know the environment that was created for them, but more importantly, the opportunity that I gave this whole family and those 2 little girls to become the best they could become. They probably would have been great no matter what, okay? I just probably made it happen a little quicker with a little extra sprinkle and a whipped cream and a cherry on top, and the rest is history, but best decision I ever made.
So what did you think of the movie? What did you think when you saw Bernthal, John Bernthal, the famous movie actor playing Rick Macci?
Well, first off, I didn't know what to expect. I talked to Bernthal before the movie. He read my book and he looked at all the Maccisms online, and Richard had so much video back in the day. So he studied me inside and out. The accent, the walk, the talk, the nuances. But I think John did a great job. I told my daughter, I said, am I really that hyper all the time? They go, yes, Dad, you're kind of jacked up a lot like that. Everything was spot on except one thing. This guy had a bushy mustache, and I had this little piece of AstroTurf that took me 30 years to grow. But other than the mustache, he did a great job. The attention to detail was incredible. Same with Will Smith. I knew he was going to get an Oscar. But no, I think what I love about the movie, it showed how much I cared, how much I invested into the project, how much patience I have as a coach, because it was more about the girls, not about Richard, because, he could be stubborn. But I thought the movie was amazing. And it's not really about tennis. It's about life. It's about fatherhood. It's about love of family. It's about a lot more than tennis. But I think it gives everybody a snapshot, or everybody hope. If I can do it, you can do it. Look where these 2 little girls came from. They weren't in the front row or the back row. They weren't even in the building, and I helped create that building, and best feeling in the world. And I think even now that they're both kind of retired, I think they're going to be even more inspirational and do more things on the world stage, because now they have the platform. But to have it come out in a movie is beyond words. But I just like the fact they told the true story. And for everybody out there, is so 100% spot on. Isha, the oldest daughter, she was there every day. So she saw the interaction between me and the girls and Richard. She's looking at it very differently than Venus and Serena. And since it was a bio, you got to get it kind of right. You can't fluff it up for Hollywood. So spot on. It blew me away. I love the movie.
So Rick, you got a fairly hefty online presence with your videos. Tell me about the pros and cons of kind of live coaching on the internet, and how it works and what it's good for.
Well, I think the internet has changed the whole landscape for people to have an opportunity to get more knowledge. Okay, I think there's more out there. Obviously, you got to be careful what you're picking and choosing. But I think it's given a lot of people an opportunity, a lot of coaches, to kind of present what they want to present. So I think there's a lot of positives in the internet and the online coaching. Even though I have stuff on there, okay, that's not really what I do. What I do is I still teach 50 hours a week, 7 days a week. I like being in the trenches. Nothing takes the place, okay, of being there face to face, day to day, in the trenches and being able to bop and weave and interact with a student to take the temperature, how to say it, when to say it, why to say it, how to say it. When you're doing it, when something's online, it's a little more, I don't want to say generic, but it's more just there's information. Then it's up for the viewer to maybe pick up a tip here or there. So I think there's a positive to it. Some people do it as like an add-on to their regular job. You know, I do it just to put it out there to give back to the public. It's not really what I do. I do things live and in color here at the Rick Macci Tennis Center 7 days a week. But I think it's a positive. But for all the parents out there and people that play tennis, a lot of times people will take little snippets because once it's in video, you can take whatever you want from anybody and they put their own little Humpty Dumpty together and they present their own dog and pony show. So they get a snippet from here and a snippet from there. A lot of people use the Rick Macci stuff, which is great. And as I tell everybody, that's the best compliment in the world because I'm here to help anybody, anytime. But I think everybody should learn from everybody. But at the end of the day, nothing takes the place of one-on-one, being on the court with someone, no matter what age, what level, and being able to have that interaction because you get the emotional part of it. You know, it's like that is key whenever you're learning. I'm not saying you can't learn over the internet, okay, or you can't learn over Zoom. I do probably 300 Zoom videos a year with people around the world because maybe they can't come here from Australia or England or Canada or whatever. So there's value to it, but I can expedite the learning curve a lot quicker, live and in color when you're on the court. And that's the art of coaching. You gotta be in there, feel the sweat, feel the grind, you know, and you gotta react to the emotional part of it. And I think anybody who really is in the coaching, you know, would agree with that. Okay, would agree with that. And if not, that's really what you want to do. Because I've just seen how I can expedite things and make things happen when it's live on the court.
Rick, you're considered to be a pure genius of breaking down a stroke biomechanically and explaining how piece by piece, how it comes together. Now, can you explain to our audience what that means when you say, you know, I'm breaking it down biomechanically? Tell us more about it.
You know, well, if someone thinks I'm a genius, I mean, that's their opinion. I guess that's better than not being. But no, I think the most important thing in life is what you think of yourself. I just try to get better. And I think because long ago, you know, with my partner, Dr. Brian Gordon, we were way ahead of the curve in stroke mechanics, you know, 15 years ago of how the game was changing. And there's a better way, there's a more optimal way to hit the ball. And with my background of understanding physics and science and the biomechanical part of how the body really works. And this is important for any coach, especially young coaches out there. If you don't understand biomechanics, you're never really going to understand the true understanding of how to hit the ball properly. You know what I'm saying? And what I tell everybody, what you may see is different than Rick may see. And so you got to always have that base. But then again, the way I do it is a little different because I've been in the trenches so long and, you know, I'm highly motivating to others, not just the strategic part or the technical part or the footwork part, the technical part. So I like to think of it one-stop shopping, not just the mental part also. The biomechanical part is the most important because there are certain principles that have to be applied from the ground up. We could go on and on about that. And so what I do is I can explain it in a way that's a little different than probably anybody in the world. Okay? Even though, you know, if you want to say genius, Dr. Brian Gordon's a genius, okay? Everything I've learned about stroke mechanics to some degree is from Dr. Gordon. You know, he has his PhD in stroke mechanics. He did his thesis on this stuff. So, but where I kind of come in at a different angle. How to say it, why to say it, when to say it, how to talk to an 8-year-old, how to explain it, how to throw in analogies, one-liners, how to make it funny, serious, how to throw in all these things of the game of life into the teaching part of it. And see, I can use these buzzwords and cues and tips and analogies that probably no one else in the world can do, but it's all backed up by science. But then the wild card is I can see the problem, within 5 seconds, okay? Whether it be Coco's second serve or her forehand or this or that or this. I can see it. That's one thing, okay? But then how to correct it, that's the art of the deal, And you might have to go through the front door, the side window, the chimney, the basement, okay? I don't know. You got to keep going through different ways. But how I break it down step by step, that's why some of the videos with USPTA back in the day, they went viral. I was one of the first of the Mohicans. Some people can say, oh, that's too much information. That's paralysis by analysis. I'm not going to give a lesson like that. I'm just giving information to the world of how this works step by step and how you build the house. Because when you build a house, you need the foundation. The floor, the nails, the wood. You don't put the carpet in first, or you don't paint it first. That's what a lot of people do. They identify a symptom. I identify the culprit, the origin, or the root cause. I don't identify the symptom. So I've done this for so long, and the fact that I have this background, I can correct the problem, expedite the learning curve, reprogram the reflexes, and retrain the muscle memory. Okay, very different. But I can break it down. Now, some people, they might learn a little quicker through more of a demonstration. Maybe with some people, you don't want to be so analytical because maybe they're so smart, they're too smart, so you got to be careful. But I understand all this because I understand how to compete. And that's the number one thing of any coach, to get your player to compete better. And I understand athletics, not just tennis, all sports. I've had many gold medalists, people, NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, pro hockey, many kids of those parents. So I understand this. And then growing up doing it on my own, I've always had that mentally strong, tough background. So at the end of the day, it's a medley, but the biomechanics of how to break it down and explain it is very different than almost anybody in the world. And I think the most important thing, I'm on the court every day, whether you're 5 years old and you want this, you're 10 years old, you're the best 12-year-old in Europe, or the number one 80-year-old guy in the country who's one of my students, okay? I teach him the ATP forehand. He goes, Rick, I got to get it this week before it's too late. I said, I know the drill, okay? So that's just me. I just love helping anybody. It doesn't have to be all the people you name that, Venus, Serena, Capriati, Roddick, Meskina, Pierce, Sharapova, Kennan, Ruud. It's not about that, I just like breaking it down for anybody, that hour, that minute, that second.
Now, let's talk about the top players in the world at the moment on the WTA and ATP tour. What's going on?
Well, first off, I think if we start with the ATP, okay, you got Yannick Sinner, okay, the Italian flamethrower, okay. If you back the truck up when he was a kid, okay, he was national downhill skiing champion, all right? So that doesn't mean you're going to be number one in the world in tennis, okay, because now he went downhill as a kid. Now he's going uphill as a tennis player. But I think the agility and the dexterity of getting in and out of the corners, a lot of this was developed at a young age. Sure, it's a little bit genetic, but I think for any parent out there, you want to play a lot of different sports. And here this guy was a champion skier, okay? And if you would see him in the corners, he's mobile, agile, flexible. He's a very flexible. And I think all that feeds into that he decided to play tennis. So the Italian flamethrowers for real, great ground strokes, okay? But mentally, he's a cool customer. He's number one in the world now, okay? But I think it's going to be him and the generational talent, the Spanish magician, Carlos Alcaraz. A talent that we've never seen. I've seen this my whole life. I've never, ever seen a player more complete than Carlos Alcaraz. There's no holes in his game. He's human. He's going to lose, okay? That's what people got to understand. But just technically, he's rock solid. He has makeup, turbo speed, the game's never seen. There's people that have been fast in the past. Jackrabbits, kangaroos, speed merchants. This guy's another gear. And what that means, when you can move like that, even on a bad day, if you're nervous, you're going to get there and be able to deliver the goods with quality. Where maybe the rest of the world misses, or they got a lob, or they're defensive. So his makeup speed, that's the wild card. But more important, he's a Broadway performer. He's built for this. He loves being on stage. A lot of gratitude, humility, a lot of life lessons probably there from mom and dad, just like Richard Williams. The guy's put together, and he has imagination and creativity. And the cherry on top of the sundae, he has a drop shot from outer space with so much disguise and deception. It puts you in the freezer. Guys are just frozen. The total package. He already has 4 Grand Slams at age 20, 21. He's a real deal. So him and Sinner, right now it's the big 2. The Joker is still hanging around. He's on 3rd, heading for home. We'll see where that all ends up, but he's cutting back on his schedule. Who will join that? Listen, there's a lot of people that could join the big 3, but it might be the big 2 for a while. But these 2 guys are a cut above on the ATP Tour. Now, if we go to the WTA, you got Iga Świątek from Poland, 5 Grand Slams, brutal angles. She reminds me of Martina Hingis on steroids with the angles that she gets. When you have those type of angles, you open up the court like the Red Sea. Okay, it takes a person a few more steps to get there, but more importantly, a few more to come back. So that's why she's brutal on clay. Okay, a little tougher on faster courts because she has a Western grip, sometimes gets jammed, but mentally she's rock solid. I think she'll have a bucket, double-figure Grand Slams when it's all said and done. You got Arina Sabalenka, it's just the Belarus bomber. Flames off both sides, hits the ball a ton. She just plays right through you. No fear. Now she has that belief. Okay, what I really like about her and her team, she 1 year double faulted 454 times. So they just said, listen, whatever we're doing, it's not helping. They brought in a biomechanist, okay, which you got to check your ego at the door when you bring someone into the team. But this is the real world that people don't understand. And I saw the changes that this guy made, okay, and the changes she was willing to make. Now, expedite that whole thing. She gets to the finals of the Australian on the biggest stage with the most pressure, no double faults. So all I'm saying is her whole serve changed, because when you're giving candy away, after a while it becomes mental. Then it becomes mental on mental. So she could become number 1 in the world real soon because she has the firepower, great off the forehand and backhand, great serve, and now she has that belief. And I have to mention Coco Gauff, the Olympic sprinter with a racket in her hand. Her backbone is just as good as her backhand. Forehands is a little dodgy at times, second serve dodgy, but she's such a great competitor. And what I love about Coco, she's 20 years old. People think she's been there for a long time, and she's already top 3, 4 in the world. So she's not going anywhere. She's going to be there for a long time. And there's other Americans, Jessica Pegula, Emma Navarro. There's other Americans, just like on the men's side. There's a handful of Americans. We got more in the top 20 than ever before. So things are looking up. But those players are the ones to watch. I don't know if anybody's going to dive in and become a contender. There's a lot of pretenders, but those are the main people right now that are dealing the cards.
Okay, this is the open question here, Rick. Let the world know how arguably the world's greatest coach teaches and coaches.
Well, first off, I love the question because for a lot of people, when you look from the outside, they're going to look at your accomplishments, what you've done. You have like a resume, whatever. But the best way is I certify actually a lot of coaches. Hundreds of people come on a regular basis and they're a director of tennis, they coach, and they come and they get certified under the Macci system. And they're on the court with me 3, 4, 5 hours a day, 3, 4, 5 days, and they kind of see the magic I put together, how I teach the kids, how I talk to the kids, how I talk to an adult, how I deal with the parents. That's a whole other issue, and how it's this smorgasbord, okay, or cafeteria of things that I gotta deal with. So at the end of the day, I always have passion and I try to extract greatness. But I don't try to do it. I've just programmed my mind ever since I was young, and I've always been like that, to just try to get the most out of the student. And the best way to do it is to inspire them and to motivate them and get them to believe. Because one word can change someone's life, can change their life. To me now, the stroke mechanic part, or the technical part, or the strategic part is the easiest, okay? And I don't mean to downplay it. It's just I've been on a tennis court since age 22, more than anybody in the world, And so that part's easier for me, okay? And the bigger the challenge, I like it more, the kid. But the mental part, tennis is a game of inches from one ear to another, and that's what intrigues me. If I can get someone who's maybe they're a little lazy to start hopping, skipping, bouncing, and become one of the hardest workers, or someone who always makes excuses and they don't make excuses, or someone who always says, well, it's really hot today, and then 2 months later is saying, hey, it's kind of chilly today. When I can get them to flip the script and look at the world through a different perspective. And that's what I try to do with everybody. I try to instill courage and confidence before they have courage and confidence. I believe in positive errors. I teach people how to win and how to attack and how to play as a pro as a kid. So then they grow into that mindset, where I think a lot of coaches, I'm not saying it's wrong, they teach you how not to lose so you can win. And you got to understand, 3 more inches and 10 more pounds, you're going to be there set, being able to hit a winner. And that's what I loved about Venus and Serena. They both made a lot of mistakes, but they were positive errors. I never talked to any student like, that girl's going to get it. Say I have the number 1 12-year-old in the country, that girl's going to get it. I'm always saying, Sabalenka would have got that. Or Goff's going to get that, we got to do that. Or 2 more inches, 10 more pounds, that would have went in. Instead of chipping it, you would have been ripping it. I just do this very differently. How I talk to the kids, and I motivate the kids, because they'll probably get more inspiration from me than their mom or dad, or their cat or dog, They'll get more motivation from myself. And I always try to lead by example. I still pick up the ball. Someone said, why do you pick up the balls? And I go, well, in 40 years, I've never seen the balls jump back in the basket. That's why I pick them up, So when you lead by example and you're always on time, because I tell the kids, if you're late, you'll never be great, So that's kind of how I teach. It's more about life lessons, because tennis, the mental part, is about solving problems. And you got to remember to forget. And if you can remember to forget, okay, because you got 20 seconds to flip it in your mind like it happened 20 years ago. Because let's face it, you got Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, they lose 45% of the points. People would never think that. Or they win maybe 55. You would think it's in the 80%. It's those key moments, those big points, especially on the men's side. It's such a small margin. And you look at someone like maybe Kyrgios or Monfils, amazing athletes, great players. They don't have any Grand Slams. Then you got these other guys in the 20s. And so what I try to do is I teach greatness. I get people to think big before they're big. Or I get them to think big when they're small. Now, I get it. You kind of got to have the thoroughbred to win the Derby. But even if you're kind of a donkey, I can make you a world-class donkey, You'll be the best donkey. Listen, some people just want to get better and play high school tennis or go to college free, which that should be everybody's goal. pro tennis, less than 1% are going to make it big. Of everybody picks up the stick. So I try to explain this to everybody. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. It's junior development, not junior final destination. And no one's, I'm a builder, okay? I tell people all the time, they say, why don't you travel? Why don't you go on a tour? Listen, I'd rather sleep in my own bed and pet my cat than I'd rather build the box than sit in the box, okay? That's just the way I am, okay? I'm a builder. I love to plant it, put it in the ground, water it, put the sunshine on it, and watch it grow. That's the best feeling in the world for me as a coach. That's just how Rick Macci's wired. You know, I don't need a job, okay? And I've had opportunity with some top 10 players to travel, but five bad losses, and your history, and then the next day's a mystery. So this is kind of how I coach. I just love helping other people, you know, and get them to believe everything's possible. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to fail. The more you fail, the more you're going to succeed. You got to take the stairs, not the escalator. Okay, when you look at these people, I tell kids all the time, do you realize right now you're going to be playing Coco Gauff? If I'm talking to an 8-year-old, or someone who maybe ball boyed for Federer, one day beat Federer. You would never think that, you know, but I get them to believe, okay, and to think big, and that anything in life is possible.
How much coaching do you give the parents when the kids are with you?
I do this very different. You know, I think back in the day, a lot of coaches said, drop them off, hop out of here, come back and get them when it's over. You know, the ones that are real, like, plugged in, you know what I mean? And I've had some of the most amazing fathers, from Stefano Capriati, Jim Pierce, Yuri Sharapova, Richard Williams. You know, it's all kind of like daddy's little girl. They're more protective than, like Roddick's parents. They said, hey, this is your thing. Carry your water and go kick butt, you know? Where the girls, the dad's more protective. And more importantly, the family has to be involved. They have to be involved. And I came to realize that long ago, because even if you don't want them involved, they're going to be involved. So you might as well get them involved. And I try to educate them, like I did Richard Williams and everybody else that I said, you know, because it's a team effort. It's not about Rick Macci. It's about their child, you know, and I just try to educate them. But that's a work in progress, to the point as when we go down the yellow brick road, and here I have, you know, a pedigree and a resume and have this background in biomechanics. A lot of the parents, they're telling me how to hit the forehand. And I'm going, wait a minute, when this all started 2 years ago, I was explaining all this. Listen, when people get confidence and knowledge, they get out of control because they see the rainbow, lollipops, and sunshine, or they know the kids are going to make it big, or whatever the case might be. But I try to educate them, and it has to be a team. And what I try to stress to every parent, and it's hard, always remember, they're kids first and tennis players second. You know, they want the W so they can talk at the cocktail party that Friday. Everybody wants to win, you know, and this is really about, at 17 years old, are you going to go to college, maybe to the best college, if you got good academics, which is the most important, and that could be a conduit if you ever want to play pro tennis. But most people, when they're 10, 11, 12, they're already booking tickets for Wimbledon. And I tell them, you're probably going to be watching it on television, you know, and you can't look at it like that. It's about developing weapons, but no, training the parents. And I do this. This is what I do probably better than anybody. And to any coach watching this, the best coaching you can do sometimes is to just shut your mouth. That's what I had to do with Richard, because he would say the craziest things, you know, and I'd wait till he went out, and I just kind of went in there and did the dirty work. So, yeah, dealing with the parents. And now people think that's the blueprint or the roadmap or the conduit to greatness, because behind a lot of these players is a parent. And it's out there, on video and public, and the stories are well documented, especially the Williams story. But listen, Venus and Serena were such brutal competitors, they didn't need to play junior tennis. So if I was so much, this is Rick Macci's way, we wouldn't play junior tennis. Don't play tournaments. They might as well shut it down. I'm not like that. That worked for them. It's not one size fits all. But dealing with the parents is the most important thing. And any coach out there has to understand that they're going to be involved. You want them involved. And if it's a team effort, in my opinion, a team always goes further than one person on their own.
What is a typical day for Rick Macci at the Rick Macci Tennis Academy?
Well, if I back the truck up, how about when I get up? I get up every day at 1 o'clock. And people go, because I've done 500 podcasts, and people go, why do you get up at 1 o'clock? And I say, well, 12 o'clock's a little too early, okay? So I get up every day at 1 o'clock. Then they go, when you go to bed, it's usually like 7. I get up at 1, okay? I have 4 yogurt. I have 4 water. I feed the cats, okay? I go up in my office. I have an office at home. I return every email personally of people because I run the business, okay? I like the personal touch. Obviously, people booking a lot of private lessons, and so I got to respond, and I get back to everybody within that day or 24 hours. So I bang out an hour in the morning. Then I usually have a Zoom video with someone, maybe 3 times a week, around the world, because there's a time difference in the UK, Belarus, Australia. One time I did it at 2 in the morning. I'm doing Zoom, okay, where maybe others are in bed. I'm getting ahead. Okay, so that's kind of the MO. Then I go run a half mile every morning, 7 days a week, come back, okay. If I have to go up in the office again to check the email, I will. Then I come to the park. I live a half mile from the park. At this stage of my life, I'm a park ranger. I have the keys. I open up the gate. I'm the first guy they ever gave the key to open up the gate to the park at 5 o'clock, sometimes earlier, usually 4:30, because most of the days I start teaching at 5 in the morning, okay? Because a lot of kids have to go to school or people visit and I don't have the time. So I start teaching at 5. Then I open up the building. I put everything together. I sweep the sidewalk every day. And people go, why you do that? And I just think it's important to have gratitude, keep your feet on the ground. I see garbage. I don't look at it as picking up garbage. I look at it as an exercise. It's all perspective. And I think it keeps you humble, and I've always done that. Plus, it's my place. So, I can't tell someone else to do it. I can, but that hasn't worked for me. So my mom always told me, you want it done. If you do it yourself, it will get done. And I start teaching usually 5 o'clock to usually 12 or 1. If people are visiting, it might be till 3 or 4. So it's a full day. And this is what it's like 7 days a week. Now, when I go home to eat, I have chicken 7 days a week and a salad, a lot of vinegar, a lot of pepper, 4 more waters, okay? I always stretch every day, go back up in the office for an hour, okay? I work out every day, about a 15-minute workout every day. I have a routine, and I like everybody to understand. The best way to acquire mental strength or anything, when you have a routine, you become a machine, okay? And that self-talk you have with yourself, it empowers you. And I'm very structured in the way that I do things, so I never feel like I'm working. I feel like I'm hardly working, and I can't wait. And I think this is the most important thing. I can't wait to get up and get on the tennis court. I don't want to watch TV or do something else. That's been my living room my whole life, and I just become accustomed to that. But that's the day in the life of boring Rick Macci. But greatness masters boring. The greatest of all time, that's what they've done. 3-point shooters, anybody in business, okay? Now, I understand you need a little more balance, and they go, what do you do for fun? This is fun to me. Being around youth, being around kids, listen, changing people's lives. That's what I was meant to do. It's not, I'm a tennis coach, but I'm more of a life coach. And when I speak and I do inspirational stuff. I move mountains for people, and when people come back and say, you changed my life, or I taught them and now they're teaching their kids, I mean, that's powerful stuff. So that's kind of what I do. 7 days. I don't like to flip the script. I might deviate a little bit. I got to go to the grocery once in a while. But other than that, boom, I'm locked, loaded, ready to launch every day, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, Rick, let's go back down memory lane to where it all started. Rick Macci from Greenville, Ohio, and how you became the legend and, as John Bernthal says, larger than life.
Yeah, first off, I love Greenville, Ohio, even though I haven't been back there in a while. But if I back the truck up, that's where I grew up, small town, 20 miles southwest of Dayton, Ohio. I still have all that inside of me, and I never lost that. I never lost that genuineness and those values that my mom instilled in me. I was a very good golfer growing up. I thought someday I'd be a pro golfer. I wanted to play. I didn't want to teach. I wanted to make myself great, not others. And then my dad passed away when I was 10 years old. Just me, my mom, and sister. We couldn't join the country club anymore. It was too expensive. I lived a half mile from a park. And it's funny, I live a half mile from a park now. My whole life's come full circle. I picked up a tennis racket, went down to the park, hit against a wall. I like Wally. Wally was coming back to me every time, no arguing. I fell in love with the game in the late 60s. Listen to this. This is crazy. So I pick up a racket, age 12. By 18 years old, I'm skipping over a lot, no lessons. I became the #1 player in Ohio Valley. Okay? No lessons. Guys going to college, full ride, big colleges. I was mentally strong. I did it all on my own. I was fortunate to be in the Hall of Fame high school for tennis and basketball, good point guard. Helped my footwork a lot. That's that cross training. And that's where it all started, And I knew early on that if I wasn't going to be on the pro tour, because I didn't have instruction. I thought I could be good. I beat a lot of All-Americans. Went to New Jersey for a year. Was the #1 adult player in New Jersey. But I knew my love was in coaching. I had the ability to analyze. Even back then, I could analyze things. And I just love helping others. So those were the cornerstones of how this all started. Not a lot of help. So that cuts another way. I think it makes you mentally stronger when you got to survive and do things on your own. And those gold nuggets have stayed with me, helping others all through my career. But I knew if I wanted to really do this, I had to go to Florida or California. And I was fortunate in 1980 to become director of tennis at Greenleaf Golf and Tennis Resort, the Miracle in the Orange Grove that I created. So many unreal things. I love Greenleaf. That's where it all started with Tommy Ho, the most dominant junior player ever. Then Capriati came, and then the Williams sisters came. Started an academy, 1985. I was one of the first Mohicans, after Bollettieri. But I'm still standing. I've done this a long time, modified it. My name's on the door. I'm still in the trenches. I do exactly the same thing. We're not a glorified boarding school, but that's where it all started. Did I think this is what I would do? I had no idea, but I really think through the hard work. I've always outworked the competition or tried to, and all those have stayed with me. Now, I think I could have run a Fortune 500 company or a business. I could have done many other things. It's just that I love sports, I love competition, I love analyze, but more importantly, I just love helping others. It doesn't matter what age or level, and that's still inside of me. I love helping my cat. Listen, I have a cat that is so trained, people would freak out. I think the videos with him would go viral on TikTok. He comes here, he goes there, he goes in the refrigerator, he fetches a ball. Listen, I've trained parents, kids, and animals. I'm a versatile guy. So I just love helping others, and I think that comes across when people can feel that. But that started way back, from my mom, growing up, doing it the hard way, and I still love it just as much today. And I think when you have hard work and passion, that's the daily double. And to my opinion, though you get the knowledge as you go along, but you have passion and hard work, those two are the leader in the clubhouse.
You are known as one of the most accomplished and best motivational speakers in the business. Now tell me how that came about, and tell me about your book, your new book, The $1 Million Mind.
Yeah, well, first off, I've always been highly motivated, and I've been self-motivated. So when you have those qualities, as you go through the game of life and you acquire knowledge, you can inspire and extract greatness from others. And I have this ability to communicate and educate, and lift others higher. Because I love to inspire and change a wire and create more desire. So as I've done this on the tennis court, it's more about life lessons. So people have asked me over my career to be a keynote speaker here, or speak at this retreat, or for a Fortune 500 company. I mean, thousands of people, to do this. And it's not about so much tennis, even though I have stories like no other. And no one can tell a story like Rick Macci, because I get so many anecdotes from all walks of life. And it applies to the game of life and business. So it kind of came about of just how I'm wired. And, the pride I have in myself and what I expect of myself. And I've been able to give that to others. And then how to verbalize it, how to say it. And I've always had this ability to connect dots and to rhymes, with the Maccisms, and, I can reverse engineer the sentence and connect the rhyme, with something I said earlier in the sentence. Like when Coco's playing the US Open, everybody's going to go cuckoo for Coco. Or, it just pops into my head unrehearsed. So the fact that I had that gift, that might have started long ago. My mom thought I had a problem because I'd always write poems and rhymes and stuff when I was 6, 7, 8 years old. And I kind of had that gift to do that mentally. And that's just another little piece of the Rick Macci puzzle to help motivate others. Because listen, everybody needs a helping hand. Everybody needs to be inspired. You can't just say, be positive or change your attitude. There's too many things in life, especially now, with social media and all the craziness in the world that influences kids and parents and what they hear and see. Everybody's a little more aware, I think, because of healthy nutrition over the last decade, what they put into their mouth, but they're not aware what they put into their brain. And they get all this in there. That's why they should be around motivational speakers, listen to positive stuff on YouTube. It's a big thing for parents to be around positive other kids and your environment, because it can kind of mess someone up, So this is a gift I've always had, and I'm doing more and more in that as I get older, and more people want to hear that. And then the feedback I get, it's not just how much they loved it, or that was one of the best things ever, how it changed my life. That's crazy stuff, because I'm just trying to inspire them to look at the game of life through a different lens. Because it's all perspective. It's all mindset. How you look at things. We could look at the same thing and see it very different. And obviously that's what I do on the tennis court. But through the game of life, people respond to things differently. We could go to a red light and it could turn green and the guy doesn't move. Some people will sit there and chill for 5 seconds. Another people will beep the horn. Another guy will tell them you're number one. Maybe a different finger. I don't know. Who knows? So it's all perspective, and that gets a blood pressure intensity. Some people go, I know I'm going to have a bad day when I wake up. What is that? Some people say, thank God it's Friday. They got it all wrong. Thank God it's every day. Appreciate what you have, what not you don't have. They got it all wrong. It's all perspective of how you start this whole thing. And you got to get on that hamster wheel and you become that. And that's kind of how I've evolved. And I was fortunate, Dr. Niva, this is crazy. I taught her back in the day when she was 16, the #1 player in the South, her twin sister, okay. I taught her back in the day. She's one of the best neurologists in the world. You know, Harvard, Mayo Clinic, you name it. She's the wizard of it. Not the Wizard of Oz, the wizard of it. And she came to me to write a book, $1 Billion Mind, about mental strength. Would I be willing to do this with her? And I said, absolutely. Because she's coming at it from a medical point of view, how the brain works, how the brain reasons, all these things to stimulate mental strength, how to help that. And I'm coming at it from the real world. Okay, so those two things come together. You know, we create a dynamic duo that no one's ever seen, I don't think, in a book, because her pedigree is unmatched. And from the tennis point of view, you know, I'm in the neighborhood up there too. So you got this. And when people say it's changed their life and it's become a bestseller, it's on Amazon.com, it's mind-boggling. And it's a journal that you can go back to every single day. And it's like 40 hours of Rick Macci lessons, you know, every day to give you a shot of adrenaline. You know what I mean? A shot of positivity you could drink every day. It's a shot of adrenaline. And then you got this formula backed up by science. Okay? And what's great about it, we've done many podcasts just on the book. And we work great together. She's amazing. And we're going to do more books together. And we're both at the stage of our career. We want to help others. You know, sure, the book, and obviously you want to make money and all that, but the feedback. And when people say it's changed their life to her, and they only have 4 months left to live, because she deals with some crazy situation. Just that enjoyment to give someone when they're on third base and they're going to deaths around the corner. That's crazy. Or it's given them, you know, that they might be able to help someone else. So it's been more than rewarding. I don't want to say it's validated everything I've done through my career, but it definitely put an exclamation point, knowing everything that I've done is kind of backed up from a science point of view also.
Tell us what's next for this national teaching treasure, Rick Macci.
Well, what's really next is after this interview, I'm going to go home. I'm going to eat chicken, salad, have the waters. I'm going to work out, go in my office. But no, what's on the horizon? I'm going to keep doing exactly what I'm doing. You know, I love being at the park. I love helping others. You know, more motivational speaking. But what's new and exciting on the horizon, I'm going to be doing a TV show. Okay. We're still working out the kinks of how it's going to work. It's going to be called The Phenom Maker. It's going to be with Blink Production. Okay, believe it or not, VW and Serena have signed off on it. They're involved in it. They're not going to actually be in the show, but obviously with them behind it, this thing's going to really take off. It's going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of making a champion, the journey of kids, the sweat, the pain, the agony, the ups and downs, you know, what goes on behind the scenes, how I teach, how I get the ingredients, you know, from aisle 4 in Publix, how I take it home, how I bake it, how I put it in the oven, pull it out, put the icing on it, the sprinkles. It's going to show all that. And it's not going to be just about 5 or 6 tennis players. It's going to be about life. It's going to be about any sport. It's going to be about inspiration, heartache, dedication. It's going to be a snapshot of what I've done my whole life and how I do this. But it's for any sport. I think it's going to be riveting, must-see TV. I feel it's going to be the best tennis ever on TV as a show, because it's going to be real. It's going to be here at the park. I got great partners involved in it. We'll have some young kids in it, some teenagers, and some older kids. The journey that they go on. People don't know the sacrifice. Getting out of Ukraine, maybe having no money. There's just the insanity and the sacrifice and the blood, sweat, and tears that goes on this journey. But then seeing how I do this and how I explain it. Okay, that's on the horizon. That's going to be in 2025. We haven't even done the sizzle reel as we do this interview, but that's on the horizon. I'm very excited for that. So that's what's around the corner, but what's really around the corner is I'm going to get up tomorrow, 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock's a little too early. I'm going to do the exact same thing. And remember what I said, when you get into a routine, you become a machine.